is the abrasive jet machining. So last time when we are trying to introduce the non-traditional manufacturing processes, then we mentioned that there are several mechanical processes for material removal, and those are abrasive jet machining, abbreviation is AJM, then water jet machining, WJM, abrasive water jet machining, AWJM, ultrasonic machining, USM. So these are the processes in which material removal is governed by the mechanical forces, mechanical process. Then we have got a couple of thermal material machining material removal processes based on thermal effects, and these processes are laser beam machining, electron beam machining, and plasma arc machining, in which we will be discussing cutting, welding, and powder spray. And in short, it is known as a PAM, okay, plasma arc machining, or PAC for plasma arc cutting, PAW for plasma arc welding. Then we'll also discuss about the high energy rate forming, that is HERF. Okay, and then briefly we'll see the basic processes involved in physical vapor deposition and chemical vapor deposition. These are the topics which I'll be deliberating in this non-traditional manufacturing processes in my portion. Now, coming to abrasive jet machining process, here the machining medium, unlike in conventional machining process where we have got the solid tool whose hardness is usually harder than the machine is being machined, and here we are using abrasive particles. And these particles, the grid size is in the range of 10 to 50 micron. So very small, like sand particles, we use hard grid particles. And they are carried by high velocity with the help of a air or gas jet through a small nozzle having diameter of the order of 0.2 to 0.8 millimeter. And these particles carried at a very high speed, they are impinging on the workpiece at around 150 to 300 meter per second velocity. So at this velocity, when they are impinging, then they can create certain plastic deformation in the material and cause material removal. So we'll see that. So power here, the energy of compressed carrier gas, either air or some gas, it is converted to kinetic energy and coupled to the abrasive particles. So here the energy is supplied by the compressed gas, which is carrying these particles. So we generate very high velocity when we expand the compressed carrier gas through the small orifice nozzle. Material removal mechanism, it is the micro cutting action as well as brittle fracture of work material by high speed abrasive jet. So when the small sand particles, high strength particles are impinging on the material, then it tends to remove the material, either micro cutting, and this micro cutting will be more operative in case of the ductile material like aluminum, steel, titanium, sort of a material which are basically ductile. And in case of brittle material like glass or ceramic, there the brittle fracture could take place, and through that the material is going to be removed. Okay, and this is exploited for cutting, etching, cleaning, deburring, polishing, and drilling processes. Okay, it differs from the standard short or sand blasting process, The sandblasting process is the similar type of thing, which is in which the sand, the common sand is blown with a very high speed with the help of a carrier gas, and those are impinging on the workpiece, and they try to remove the rust and other things. So whenever you try to remove the rust from any mild steel sheet which are exposed to normal atmosphere, so there is usually a yellowish type of rust comes, and before you want to do further machining, it is being sandblasted. So in sandblasting, what we have got, you have got a compressor which is giving compressed air, and in the stream of the compressed air, you try to add certain common sand, and these sands are going to impinge at a high speed. So the abrasive jet machining is similar to that, but it has got certain difference in that, in the sense that we are using finer grid, as well as we have got the better control of the process in order to get good quality of machining done. Otherwise, the process is similar to the sandblasting process. Now, here you can see the machine. So here we have got the gas supply. Either it could be a compressed air or some other gas in a cylinder, or it could be a compressor, air compressor, which is used in case of inflating the tire of any automobile vehicle. So that type of high pressure compressor is used, or it can be compressed air in a cylinder. So this gas is passing through some filter in order to remove dirt and other things, and also to remove the, if there is any moisture or oil, mist or anything, so those are removed, and then this high pressure gas is passing through a powder supply and mixer. And this powder supply, in order to have the control of the flow, there is a vibrator which is continuously giving certain amount of controlled vibration in order to allow the powder to be added in the compressed air. Now, and the compressed air is now flowing, and with the help of a foot control valve, whenever you need the gas and the powder to grid to go, so those are being carried, and with the help of a hand held nozzle, we allow the powder to fall on the workpiece. And then we have to collect this powder and dust and everything. For that, there is a enclosure hood is there, and then it is connected with a exhaust vacuum pump. So it is going to exhaust, it will going to take out the with the help of a blower, these are sucked out, and after filtering the powder, the rest of the gas is let to go in the normal atmosphere. Now, as I was mentioning, that it has got much better control compared to the normal sand blasting machine, and this can be appreciated if you see that we have got a egg cell. So in the egg cell, which is usually very, very brittle, you can see that how fine pattern has been created with the help of a abrasive jet machine. Okay, so we can, so one can understand and appreciate the utility of such machine or machining process in machining the brittle material, especially. Okay, so how well controlled features, intricate features have been created in a very brittle eggshell. Okay. So the general characteristics is that abrasive jet particle jet, the grid size is very small. It is 10 to 50 micron. And abrasive jet velocity is controlled between 100 to around 300 meter per second. Usually it is kept below the sonic velocity in order to minimize the vibration, acoustic vibrations. Okay. Abrasive mass flow rate is in the range of 1 to 20 gram per minute, not very high, but 1 to 20 gram per minute is the these particles which are flowing. This is the rate. And the carrier gas could be compressed air, or it could be nitrogen, or it could be CO2. Okay, so these are the commonly used gases which carries the powder. Okay. So here, as I was mentioning, this system shows which is based on a air compressor instead of a compressed air gas cylinder. So here some more details has been schematically shown. So you have got the air compressor, then there is a turning valve to get the high pressure gas. It is passing through a pressure control valve. Then you have got the dryer. Usually the compressed gas will have certain moisture, and then this is dried. Otherwise, when it is going to carry the powder can get wet and agglomerated. So we don't want to have that. We want very good flow of the powder. So we need dry air. And so the dry air is passing through. If there is any oil while we are creating the compressed air, sometimes the compressor is using certain machine oil. So the mist and everything needs to be filtered out. So you get clean, dry air, which is put in the mixing chamber. And in this mixing chamber, there is a abrasive feeder, a hopper in which the powder is kept, and from here it flows sometimes by gravity, and sometimes also we have got the electromagnetic vibrator or shaker with which it is all the time vibrating, so that there is a controlled amount of powder is being mixed with the compressed air, which is now passing through high velocity whenever we open the on-off valve. Okay, so the abrasive mixed with the carrier gas is coming, and it is coming through the nozzle, and through the nozzle it is coming out at a high speed and impinging on the workpiece. Now you just move the workpiece or the nozzle, so it is going to remove the material, and you can generate any pattern, or you can make groove, etc., or you can make slit in ceramic material, glass, or even in some thin metal sheets. Okay, and then you have got the exhaust from where the gas is taken out and or air is taken out and allowed to go to in air, but it is filtered. All the powders and everything is filtered so that the dust doesn't go in the atmosphere. So you have got the four major subsystem. One is the gas propulsion system of to produce the compressed gas. So this provides a steady supply of clean, dry gas from either an air compressor or high pressure gas cylinder. It is utilized to propel the abrasive particles. Typical gas consumptions could be around 40 liters per minute. Okay, this is the typical. Most common gases is the dry air from compressor, or you can use nitrogen or CO2. We never use oxygen because compressed oxygen is hazardous. It has got the fire hazard. It can assist in inflame any material if there is any fire. So it is going to cause severe fire. So we do not use any oxygen gas. We can use nitrogen or CO2 gas. Okay, next slide. Okay, what happened? Next slide is not coming.
Sir, I guess it's there.
Yeah, okay. So the next slide, yeah. So now the second is after the compressor, we have got the metering system. It consists of powder hopper and a feeder and vibrating chamber. So this is the powder hopper in which the powder is kept, and this is the mixing chamber which is kept on a electromagnetic shaker or vibrator. Okay, it injects a uniform and adjustable flow. So one can see and appreciate that unlike sand blasting machine, you have got uniform and adjustable control of the flow of abrasive particle into the gas stream. Powder hopper feeds powder into a vibrating chamber, which it turns facilitates controlled amount of powder to flow into the jet stream. Powder flow rate is controlled by the amplitude and frequency of the vibration. So typical flow rate is maintained in the range of around 10 to 15 gram per minute. Then you have got the delivery system. This incorporates also a nozzle. So a abrasive jet delivered through a nozzle onto the workpiece. So nozzle material. Now the nozzle is also very important, but because through this only the powder is coming out at a high velocity, is coming and impinging on the workpiece. So there is a always concern of nozzle getting worn out, and if the nozzle shape changes, then the machining will not be uniform. So here very hard material is used for making the nozzle. The nozzle material is a very hard material like tungsten carbide or sapphire. Okay, so sapphire is very hard material, and it can withstand very high abrasive like abrasion of the abrasive grids which are coming out at a high speed. Okay, so the nozzle opening size and shape, either it is round hole of around 0.2 to 1.2 millimeter diameter, depending upon the type of work you want to do, or it could be rectangular hole, ranging from 0.07, that is 70 micron, to 500 micron, to around 170 micron, to around 3.8 millimeter. So it could be rectangular nozzle also, and these are used in order to cut the slots. So the longer the movement of the nozzle is usually along the longer arm of the rectangle hole. Okay, like if you are moving on any workpiece to create a slot or cut it out, then you put your rectangular nozzle aligned in such a way that your feed is along the direction of the length 3.8 millimeter or 0.5 longer arm. Along that you move. Okay, and then it is going to give you very small cut width. So in this case around 0.17, that is 170 micron, or it can give as small as around 70 micron cut width it can give. Okay, and then we have got the fourth part is your abrasive collection system, collection of the particle coming off the workpiece and then allowing the air to pass after the filtering the grids to allow in the atmosphere. So the process parameters involved in the process, as one can guess easily now, the major process parameter or variables that affect the material removal rate are abrasive type. What type of abrasive material you are using, its strength, its size, as well as the shape. So if the shape is very regular compared to spherical, compared to irregular sharp edges particle, the spherical particles is going to remove less material. And if it is irregular shape having very sharp sides, edges, then it will remove more material. It will also depend on the size of the particle diameter and strength. Of course, if the strength is less, then while it is impinging on the workpiece, then they themselves is going to broken. Okay, so it should not break while it is impinging on the workpiece. Okay, so it will depend on the strength of the particle, and usually the strength has to be higher than the ultimate strength of the material which you are processing. Then it will also depend on the abrasive flow rate and mixing ratio. Mixing ratio is that if you are having certain amount of gas flow, then how much amount of particle you are mixing into it. So depending upon the mass flow rate of the gas, what is the mass flow of the particles. So the particle mass flow rate divided by gas flow rate, mass flow rate of gas plus mass flow rate of particle, it is going to give you that what is the mixing ratio. So it will depend on the how much particle you are mixing in the air, okay, or the compressed gas. Then the nozzle gas pressure, which is going to determine what is the flow velocity with which the abrasive particles are coming out. Nozzle tip distance from the workpiece. Okay, the standoff distance, often we call that nozzle tip distance. The distance between the nozzle and the workpiece, that gap is known as a standoff distance. So this will depend on that also. So there are different types of abrasive particles used in various applications. You have got the aluminum oxide, Al2O3, alumina, and this is used for cleaning, cutting, and deburring. Deburring is the whenever you do the drilling hole, a fine drilling hole, let us suppose you are using some ductile material like aluminum and you are trying to drill hole with the help of a drill bit. So when you are pushing the drill bit inside the plate and when it is coming out, then at the bottom of the hole, you will find that the thin layer of the material has fractured and it has and the hole has been created, but the thin layer is attached at the outer edge periphery of the hole and the bottom surface. So that needs to be removed. Okay, so there you can use this to remove. So that process is known as a deburring. So the burr is usually whenever you try to do the drilling in any ductile type of material, then at the last edge when the drill bit is just tearing through the plate, that time a thin layer is just gets punctured and the rest of the material just gets stuck at the periphery of the hole. So that needs to be removed in order to clear the those material. So that removal is known as a deburring. Okay. Then you use silicon carbide. This is harder material and it is used for as ever, but for harder material because the silicon carbides are harder than aluminum oxide. Also, you use glass beads, and this is used for matte polishing of the glasses and cleaning purpose. Okay, and then you use the crushed glass for pinning and cleaning application. Pinning is to provide certain amount of compressive stress in the surface of the material. Whenever you sorry impinge you crushed glass, then it can produce certain amount of compressive stress in the workpiece surface. So that is known as a pinning. Then you can use sodium bicarbonate. So it is similar to talcum powder. So this is used for, this is relatively soft material. It is used for cleaning and cutting soft materials. Okay. And the particle size, as we mentioned earlier, it is around 10 to 50 micron. Okay. The smaller size are more useful for polishing and cleaning applications. Large size are best for cutting and pinning applications. Okay. And here the other variables that carrier parameters, experimental parameters is the carrier gas. You use either air or CO2 or nitrogen. The nozzle pressure could be around 2 to 10 bar pressure. 1 bar is 1 atmospheric pressure. And flow rate is 5 to around 40 liters per minute. Depending upon the flow rate, you can use the gas flow. And the abrasive flow rate, the velocity is usually around 100 to 300 meter per second. Mixing ratio, this is the mass flow rate ratio of the abrasive to gas. So it is abrasive divided by the mass of abrasive particle mass flow rate divided by the mass flow rate of gas. So optimum is in the range of around 0.15 this ratio. So you can see that what we use a very dilute powder fed in the air, okay, or in the carrier gas. This ratio is around 15%, okay. Standoff distance could be around 1 to 15 millimeter. It increases with carrier gas pressure. As you go on increasing the carrier gas pressure, then the standoff distance where you get a good material removal, that tends to increase, okay. Impinging angle, it depends on the type of material. It could be from 60 degree to 90 degree. And abrasive flow rate is, as I mentioned, around 1 to 20 gram per minute, and the optimum it is of the order of around 10 grams per minute. So this is the typical process parameters range you can see. Based on various experiments, if you see the parametric dependence of MRR, this material removal rate, so here on different process parameter, its variation has been shown. So the first variation that you are changing the abrasive flow rate, okay, mass flow rate, you are changing mass per unit time. So as you said that, as we discussed that it could be from 1 to 20 gram per minute. So if you are varying, keeping the gas pressure constant, let us suppose we are using around 6 bar pressure, so that is constant. So as we are increasing the mass flow rate, the abrasive flow rate, this MRR is going to increase. That is understandable, okay, because your material removal is going to be more with the more abrasive particle impinging on the workpiece. And this is for different grid size. If you go on increasing the grid size, then the mass flow rate or this mass flow MRR, that also tends to increase. However, when you see that if you go on increasing the abrasive flow rate beyond certain value, it tends to saturate, MRR tends to saturate, and then it tends to fall down, taper down. The reason is that as you are increasing the abrasive flow rate, keeping the gas pressure constant, what is happening? Your mixing ratio is changing. So mixing ratio, as soon as it goes beyond around 1.15, then what will happen? That the velocity of the total gas is going, total gas mixture, abrasive plus the carrier gas, that the velocity is going to reduce because of the more loading of the grids, abrasive particle. Because of that, it is going to saturate, and then further increase of the abrasive flow rate is going to reduce the material removal rate, because effectively the velocity of the impinging particle is reducing as your mixing ratio is increasing, okay. So here the second, if you see the mixing ratio, from very small mixing ratio, as you go on increasing, then MRR is going to increase, and as it crosses the optimum value, then it tends to saturate and then starts falling down, okay. So again, the same reason that your particle velocity at very high loading of abrasive particle in the carrier gas, the flow velocity is going to reduce, okay. If you have got the constant mixing ratio, let us suppose that I am keeping at around 0.5, 0.15, 15%, and then we go on increasing the abrasive flow rate. So constant mixing ratio means what? As we are using the abrasive flow, we are also increasing the gas flow. So if the keeping the ratio constant, if you do that, then your MRR is going to linearly increase, okay. And here with the gas flow as gas pressure, nozzle pressure, we are showing the material removal rate. This is going to increase. This is going to increase because your velocity of the gas particle is increasing with the gas pressure. Okay. And as you go on increasing the pressure, your velocity is going to increase, and your MRR is also going to increase because of that. Gas flow rate for constant mixing ratio. And if you go on changing the mixing ratio, let us suppose we have got the 5%, 10%, 15%, then it is going to go on increasing. Okay. So here, the standoff distance, nozzle tip distance, usually we keep working range is around 0.75 millimeter to around 75 millimeter. If you see the MRR changing with the material removal with the standoff distance, then you will find that when your workpiece is very close to the nozzle, material removal rate is very small. And as you go on increasing, then the material removal rate goes on increasing, and then it tends to saturate, and up to certain standoff distance, this nozzle distance, this remains almost constant, and thereafter again further with the further increase of distance of the workpiece from the nozzle, the MRR tends to reduce. So this is because of the following reason. Inside the nozzle, the gas is in stagnant condition, and when it is coming out in stagnant conditions at high pressure, let us suppose around 6 bar pressure or 8 bar pressure, it has got lot of potential energy. When it starts coming out from the nozzle, this potential energy is going to convert it to kinetic energy, and thereby the particle's velocity is going to increase, and there will be a certain optimum distance where the velocity of the particle is going to be maximum, and then the effect of material removal rate at those places is going to be maximum. At the same time, as the potential energy is getting converted into kinetic energy, particle velocity is increasing. With the further increase of the distance from the nozzle, this is going to spread out. So when it is spreading out, then the like the impinging density, the power density, the impact is going to reduce because the area is increasing. So because of that, after a certain distance of SOD, it starts, material removal rate starts coming down. So the initially when it is very close by, almost touching, the time the velocity of the particle has not become maximum to create lot of impact. So your material removal rate is very small, and as you go and reach to some optimum distance where the carrier gas has been able to transfer their momentum to the grids, and they have also acquired the high velocity. Now they are coming at a very high velocity, and then they are impinging the workpiece, and then your material removal rate is high. As you go further down, it is spreading. So with the spread, its impact is going to be reduced. Per unit area, number of grids impinging is going to reduce. So your material removal rate is also going to slowly reduce. It is velocity is also going to reduce further down as you go. Okay. So this is the material removal rate, optimum distance in the above range of for maximum material removal rate, that is 14 millimeter for Al2O3, that is the aluminum oxide grid of 50 micron size. And you get gas nozzle pressure at the gas nozzle pressure of around 7 bar. Shorter nozzle distance, better accuracy and definition, and minimum curve width and taper you get when you give at the optimum value. Increased nozzle tip distance widens the abrasive jet. Okay, divergence angle could be around this angle could be around 70 degree, used for surface cleaning or pinning or glass frosting. That is that whenever you want to make the glass having the matte finish, then you can have particles impinging with relatively low velocity so that lot of damage doesn't take place. Okay, so for cleaning, pinning, and glass frosting, you use longer standoff distance. Now, we saw the basic mechanism, what is the construction of a abrasive jet machine, and also we try to see what is the what are the different process parameters and how the material removal rate depends on various process parameters that we saw. The process, if you see that it is very complex, the material removal rate mechanism is very complex, and to accurately model the material removal accurately is a bit difficult. However, by making certain assumptions, one can try to have develops a model and then see that how the material removal rate depends on the various process parameter and whether it conforms with the experimental observations. Okay, so one can do the modeling, and we can see that how one can develop in an approximate model for the material removal rate depending upon in the as a function of various process parameters. So as I mentioned, a abrasive jet machining is very complex process to model, as this depends on many factors such as mass, velocity, shape, and size of the impinging particles, impinging angle, and mechanical and physical properties of both abrasive, that is the erosive particles, and the eroded body, that is the workpiece. So however, by making certain assumption, we try to attempt to develop the model. So two types of wear mechanism has been observed. One is the wear is caused, that is the material removal is caused by repeated deformation during collisions of the abrasive particles on the workpiece, eventually resulting in breaking loose of a piece of material. So this is known as a brittle fracture. Okay, and this is a dominant material removal mechanism in hard and brittle materials like ceramic, glass, and other things. Material removal rate is highest for particle impinging at large angle from the surface. Like if your theta angle is near 90 degree, that time in brittle material, the material removal rate has been observed to be maximum. So this is the mechanism of material removal. This that tiny particles, when it is impinging, it is going to cause here certain amount of brittle fracture, and as the grids are impinging on that, those brittle materials which have been fractured out, those is going to be removed. Okay, so this happens in case of material like glass or silicon wafer or other ceramic material. When we are using this for ductile material, there the mechanism of material removal is cutting or shearing action of the free moving particles. So when the particles is impinging, then it is going to produce certain amount of shear effect, and with this shear effect, if its velocity is very high, then certain amount of material is going to be sheared out, and in the form of microchip, the material is going to get removed. Okay. So this is the dominant mechanism of material removal in soft and ductile materials. And here the wear is going to be maximum for a small impinging angle theta. The theta is the angle between the impinging particle and the surface of the workpiece. So here, if it is away from the 90 degree at a like 30 degree, 40 degree, that time the material removal rate is going to be maximum in case of ductile material. Now, we make certain assumption, and based on those assumptions, we try to model. So what are the assumptions? So assumption is abrasive particles are considered to be rigid and spherical bodies of diameter equal to the average grid size. So these are assumed that these are spherical shape, and abrasive grid will have some non-uniform surface. However, we take this as a equivalent grid is of this diameter. Okay, so the diameter is assumed that it is d is the diameter of the, and we are assuming that the average size is constant, which is d. In case of ductile material, the material removed is equal to the volume of the indentation. So in case of ductile material like aluminum or steel, this particle, when it is impinging, it is going to get embedded. And what is the volume into which it has got embedded? This is the amount of material in ductile material which is going to get removed. So you can see this is the arc, and this is the this chord of the particle. So up to this material, which is shown in a dashed form, hedge form, that is going to be get removed. Okay, and the depth up to which the particles is going in, that is known as an indentation depth, that is shown as a delta. So this is case when we are talking about the ductile material. In case of brittle material removed is considered due to the brittle fracture, and the volume is assumed to be the hemisphere whose diameter is equal to the chord length of the indentation. So here, in case of brittle material like glass, when the particle is impinging, that it is going to penetrate up to, and cause indentation up to the depth delta. And here the chord is around, is shown as a 2r. Now, we assuming this 2r as a diameter, you make a hemisphere. So this hemisphere volume in case of brittle material is going to get removed. So for the same amount of chord length, 2r, if you see in the ductile material and compare with the brittle material, in brittle material the material removal is more, okay, because of the propagation of the fracture. Okay, and here it is only the material which is getting sheared out is going to get removed. Here the fracture portion is extending beyond the indentation depth, and in this model we assume that this hemisphere volume is going to get removed in case of brittle material. And then we say that the kinetic energy of abrasive are fully utilized in removing the material. So whatever kinetic energy is there for the abrasive particle, that is equal to the work done in removing this volume of the material. So we can equate the kinetic energy of the particle with the work done in removing this volume. Okay. Now we try to calculate the volume of the material which is going to get removed. So here, by geometrical consideration, you can calculate this value, this R, the chord length, radius of this BC. So you can find out this BC, which is equal to R. So R square will be, you can find out that it will be d by 2, this radius AB square minus AC square. So AB square will be equal to d by 2 square. So d is the diameter of the particle, and AC will be AB minus CD. CD is the indentation depth delta. So you can put it this. Assuming that the high delta is very small, so that the square of the delta is going to be much small and negligible. So we neglect the delta square and higher order terms. So in that case, we find that R square is equal to D into delta. So it is equal to diameter of the grid into indentation depth, your delta. Okay. Now the volume volumetric material removal per particle impact, if you say that it is a capital gamma, then for brittle material, we get the hemispherical fracture we get. So that will be 2 by 3 pi r cube. Okay, so this much material is going to get removed. Okay, so this is the material volume of the material removed by one grid. So this will be this much. So here are, you can put it from equation 1, you get this. In case of ductile material, only this much volume is going to get removed, formed by the this up to the depth of d. So you get this much. Okay, so you can calculate for each grid what is the volume of the material removed in case of brittle material and in case of ductile material. Now, if there are n number of particles per unit time is impinging on this workpiece, then the material removal rate per unit time will be 2 by 3 this volume multiplied by n in case of brittle material. In case ductile material, this volume multiplied by n. So these are very simple steps, okay, geometrical steps which has been taken. Now, if you see previously, here the diameter of the grid, this is known, and can be found out from the mass flow rate of the particle and its density, etc. That we'll see. What is not known is delta, that's indentation depth. So this we want to find out. If we know this delta, indentation depth, then we can find out material removal rate. Okay, so this we are trying to now find out. So to find out this indentation depth, we are assuming that the entire kinetic energy is spent in creating the indentation depth delta in the material of hardness H. So H is assumed to be the hardness of the material. So the value of delta can be estimated from the energy conservation equation. So now we try to find out the energy, kinetic energy of each particle, each grid of mass m, and having the velocity v. So the kinetic energy will be half mv square. Now we try to find out what is the mass of the grid. If we know the diameter of the grid and if you know the density, then we can find out. So the volume will be this much multiplied by rho is going to be the mass of each particle, and velocity is given here. So if we know the velocity, if you know the grid diameter, if you know the density, we know what is the kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy is given by this expression. Now, what is the work done for creating indentation delta in a material of mass h? That can be found out. What is the force into indentation delta if you integrate the work done force into distance and integrate over 0 to delta indentation depth, and the area is pi r square h into this, and you put r in the form of d into epsilon, this delta, then you can integrate and you find that the work done in creating indentation depth of this delta, we require half pi d into h into delta square amount of energy. So this energy is equal to, if we equate with the energy of the kinetic energy of the particle, then from here you can find out what is the depth of indentation. So we get the depth of indentation this much. So equation 8 is going to give you the indentation depth. So indentation depth depends on the density of the particle, under root of that, and it is inversely proportional to the hardness of the material, under root of that. Okay, so what does it mean? That if you increase the hardness of the material, your indentation depth is going to be small. If the diameter is more, indentation depth is going to be more, and if the particle grid velocity is more, indentation depth is going to be more. So once you know the value of indentation depth, you can find out what is the, you can substitute in the mass flow rate equation. And the number of particles impinging per unit time on the workpiece can be found out from the mass flow rate. If the mass flow rate is given by this expression, And if the mass of each particle is given by this expression, mass of this, then you can find out that n will be given by this equation. Okay, mass flow rate divided by the mass of each particle, this is going to give you this. So now for MRR, we know what is the value of n in the as a function of mass flow rate and the density of grid and its diameter. We know what is the indentation depth as a function of, again, the grid parameter and the material parameter, strength of the material. If we put all those things in the material removal rate for the brittle material, you get this equation, and for ductile material you get this expression. Okay. So here you can see that MRR depends on the mass flow rate, it depends on the velocity of the particle. These are proportional, they are increasing, and it has got inverse dependence on the strength of the particle. Okay, strength of the material workpiece. Okay, so here also you can see for the ductile material. Okay. So we can see that the nature of the variation of MRR on particle velocity, the strength of the material is logically looks okay. Okay. So the application of this non-traditional manufacturing process are the following. Some of the examples have been shown over here. So this abrasive jet machine can be used for drilling, cutting, deburring, cleaning, and etching, also pinning. For machining fragile and brittle material, heat sensitive materials, ceramic carbides, thin titanium sheets, all these things can be machined. For drilling holes of intricate shape in hard and brittle materials, you can do, because it doesn't depend on the circular symmetry as in case of drilling machine. So you can make of any shape hole. Micro machining of brittle materials, as you have seen the example on the eggshell. Cutting threads in glass rods, so the glass material, on that you can make threads. Frosting glass, drilling glass wafers, etc. you can use. So these are the applications. So in semiconductor industry also, it is used for removal of some deposit on any substrate, or for cleaning purpose, and also for if you are drilling hole on PCB, that is the printed circuit board, and if you need to do the deburring, you can use this machining process. So the machining capability, if you see machining, okay, if you see the process capability, it has got relatively low MRR with you get typically 15 millimeter cube per minute, can produce intricate details in hard brittle materials. Slots as narrow as around 120 micron you can produce. Typical tolerance could be of the order of around 120 micron. Minimum radius you can get around 200 micron. Surface roughness is of the order of 10 to 50 micron. Steel sheet as thick as 1.5 millimeter and glass of around 6 millimeter thick can be cut with abrasive jet machining, but at relatively slow rate. And sometimes if you have got a glass, the taper angle could be large, because as you are going inside the plate, a 6 millimeter plate, the abrasive particles tends to diverge out. Therefore, you get large taper angle. So this is the basic process capability. Advantages: Machining fragile and heat sensitive materials because it doesn't create lot of heat as in case of other turning or drilling machine. Low capital cost, no part chatter or vibration takes place. Good for difficult to reach places because you have to just flow the carrier gas along with the particle and you can do the machining. Machining very hard materials is also possible with this. The drawbacks of this are the low MRR, stray cutting because the particles could get blown in the lateral direction, the transverse direction from the axial direction. So it can give some stray cutting. Taper you get usually because of the expanding air jet, gas jet. Particle can be embedded in the workpiece and high environmental load, that is that there's a lot of dust which is blown in even after the filtering when you are releasing the used gas in the atmosphere, there could be very tiny particles could be going into the atmosphere, so there will be some surrounding areas may get clouded with a lot of dust particles, so that is one disadvantage. So this summarizes the operational or process summary. The abrasive type has been mentioned here, which we described earlier: size, abrasive flow rate, carrier gas, then abrasive flow rate, gas flow rate, gas pressure, gas flow velocity, nozzle material. So nozzle material is very important because it has to be very hard. You cannot use any metal like steel. They are going to wear out very fast. So you use tungsten carbide or sapphire material. Then you have got the standoff distance. It is also very important to have good machining done. Nozzle opening and operating angle. Okay, so this is what you use. Okay. At the end, I have got some numerical problems for you to do the exercise. And I will just say that this 1, 2, 3, these three problems are based on the directly the expression of MRR. So if you read the problems, these are very simple. MRR in a abrasive jet machine of brittle material at 200 meter per second abrasive grids velocity is 10 millimeter cube per minute. Okay, 10 millimeter cube per minute. Keeping the mass flow rate of abrasive grids fixed, if the velocity is increased to 250 meter per second, what will be the MRR? Okay. So in case of brittle material, you can use the expression and you can just find out what will be the change in the material removal rate when you change the velocity. Now, in case of ductile material, how this MRR is going to change. So if you see the MRR expression for ductile and brittle material, then you can do that. You can estimate that. In the above, both the above problems, let us say the abrasive grid used at 200 meter per second velocity have 2.5 gram per cc density, and the grid used at 250 meter per velocity has 2 gram per density. What will be the MRR in the brittle and material and ductile material? Okay, so in these two expressions, the grid density and everything was same. But now if you change the grid density, then how the MRR is going to change in case of brittle and ductile material. So using that equations, which we have used here, you can see this expression here. So here, if you see this expression, you can use. So it is interesting to see that in case of brittle material, the material removal rate has got the dependence on density, but in case of ductile material, it doesn't have the dependence on density. Okay, so one needs to appreciate this point. Okay. Now, in case of 4 and 5, you need to do some calculation. Let us suppose that you have got a workpiece which has got 10 micron thick ceramic coating on its surface. Let us suppose that I have got a substrate on which the some alumina coating is there of 10 micron thickness. The strength of coating is 5 gigapascal. This coating is to be removed by an abrasive jet of grid size diameter 50 micron and grid density 5 gram per cc. What should be the velocity of abrasive jet to remove 10 micron thick coating in single impacts of the abrasive grids? Like when the abrasive grid is impinging, then by the single impact, entire thickness of 10 micron it should remove. And you may remember that in case of brittle material, the thickness of the coating which can be removed will be equal to R, this hemisphere now you have considered, and that will be equal to D into delta under root of that. So it is not the equal to indentation depth, but it is the hemisphere depth of the hemisphere, which is given by R is equal to D by. So once you say from this, you can find out what will be the velocity of the grid to create. This is equal to now 10 micron. Then what should be the velocity? So you can find that out. So the grid velocity will be, I have tried to calculate and find out the answer. So you will find the answer. So you can find the answer and then match with this. And if there is any deviation, you please let me know. Now, this is for the brittle material, and you can use for the brittle material for the material removal up to the depth of a hemisphere. And in case of ductile material of 2 GPa strength is being machined with AGM, the mass flow rate of abrasive is 6 gram per minute, density is 5 gram per cc, grid diameter is 40 micron. At a certain machining conditions, the material removal rate is found to be 30 millimeter cube per minute. Estimate the abrasive jet velocity, indentation depth due to striking of grid, indentation radius and material removal per impact. Okay. So now here in this case, your depth of the material which is removed is equal to the indentation depth delta. Okay. And then you can calculate all those things using the expressions in the developed model. Okay. So you must do this exercise yourself and try to have some practice on the numericals, because in our quiz test and multiple choice questions, numerical type of questions, you should be able to then attempt nicely. Okay. So that brings me to the end of the slides, and now you can ask me if there is any question. So I'll just try to take your attendance, download your attendance list also. And if you have got any question, then you please let me know.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, while machining of brittle materials,
Yeah.
like like we expect, like when we impinge the jet, that
Yeah.
crack can propagate and shatter the entire material, right? For example, in case of eggshell or glass, but that doesn't happen.
No, because the particles are so small, and the total energy, kinetic energy, is not enough to create fracture, all uncontrolled fracture. Okay. So while you are trying to do the machining, you control the velocity of the particle in such a way that it doesn't give uncontrolled crack. There is a controlled amount of crack equivalent to the approximately, this is in the model we have done, the approximately equal to the hemisphere. Okay, so we do not use very high velocity, then it will give you uncontrolled crack propagation. Okay, so one needs to, based on these optimization, the velocity is kept in the range of 100 to 300 meter per second, and grid size of around 10 to 50 microns. So depending upon the type of material, what is the thickness, etc., you control your process parameter, that you do not get uncontrolled fracture. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other question? No. So if you have no question, then take care and do the exercise, go through and try to go through the slides and try to also derive once yourself the set of the steps, so that you are confident of the model and the equations which we have written in the slides, and so that you have got a little bit practice, and certainly try to do the exercise, okay, and try to see that your answers, whether those are matching with the answers given, and if it is not matching, please let me know in a next class. Okay, till then, bye, take care. Okay.
Thank you, sir.